welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Monday morning. Got a massive show to bring you guys today, but before we jump into that, please do me a small favour. Make sure to smash a like on today's show. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching today, don't forget to go and subscribe. We're literally just about to hit 40,000 subscribers. So if this is your first time, bottom right hand corner, go and subscribe right now. All right, well, let's start the show off by obviously talking about yesterday's game against. My brain is gone. I've only just woken up. Who did we play yesterday? Oh, God, Everton. My brain's only just switched on. I do apologise. Everton yesterday, 4-0. Amazing victory. Ruben Amorim's first home game in the Premier League. 2 goals from Xerxes. Absolutely phenomenal yesterday. 2 goals from Marcus Rashford, who I thought did really well yesterday. And you know what? I want to say this from the beginning. The thing which really, really impressed me about Rashford yesterday was his work rate. There was about 10 seconds left of the game. We were winning 4-0 yesterday, and he sprint back. And I know people will be like, oh, he should be doing that every game. I agree, he probably should. But at least he was doing it yesterday, you know? And if he does that, the Man United fan base will quite quickly change their tune about him. Most people seem fed up with him. But that's only because he doesn't seem like he cares. Whereas yesterday, forget about the goals. He did work hard. He put in the effort. He was running back. And that's all we really ask for as a bare minimum, isn't it, as Man United fans? For the players to look like they care. And yesterday, I think every single player on that pitch came off with their head held high. And I think that's partly because of Ruben Amorim's ability to make these players feel involved. He said that in his press conference after the game yesterday. He said that over the last kind of 2 or 3 games, pretty much every single player has had an opportunity. Anthony played in the Europa League. Malacia played. Like Mason Mount's been playing. Everybody's getting game time. And I really, really like that about Ruben Amorim, because I think under Erik ten Hag, he just had his favourites and he played the same team every single week. The players would then get tired. There was no rotation. The players who weren't playing would then feel like they were being left out. And then when they did play, they wouldn't perform. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a vicious cycle. Whereas with Amorim, he's been really, really good at swapping, rotating. You know, yesterday he made 5 substitutions by about the 60th minute mark. He did the same against Bodo Glimt. He'd made 5 substitutions. Even Bruno Fernandes came off at about 60 minutes. When was the last time Bruno Fernandes got substituted in a game? I can't remember. It never used to happen under Ten Hag. Bruno would play every single minute of every single game. And if he got brought off even like a minute before the end of a game under Ten Hag, it would be a massive story and people would say, oh, Bruno's unhappy. And, you know, whereas with Ruben Amorim, he understands he's coming off at 60 minutes. And that's what happened yesterday. And I think that's exactly how this squad should be. No player should be bigger than the club. No player should be, have this divine right to play every minute of every game. It's a squad game. We've got good players on the bench. We've got players on massive wages on the bench as well, and they should be getting an opportunity. So fair play to Ruben Amorim for that. I think it's one of the most difficult things of being a football manager, coach, whatever you want to call it, is making the squad feel involved, is making the squad feel valued. And I think Ruben Amorim so far, we're only 3 games in, so I'm not going to get too carried away. But, so far, I think Ruben Amorim has absolutely mastered the rotation issue, which was such a big problem under Erik ten Hag. And we all know that. It was such an issue. Players would play too much. They then get injured. Erik ten Hag would then complain that we have too many injuries. We haven't really had any injuries yet since Erik ten Hag left. And I'm not saying it's some big conspiracy. I'm not saying that Erik ten Hag was, making them injured purposely. I'm just saying the big difference is the use of the squad. And it's quite simple to see why we got so many injuries before, because players were being played until they literally got injured, whereas now, when a player gets a bit tired at 50, 60 minutes, they come off, even if it's Bruno Fernandes, if it's Marcus Rashford, whoever, even if they've had a really good game, even if they've scored 2 goals, they're still coming off. So yeah, I really, really respect that from Ruben Amorim. And I think that's, I think it's really good that he's been able to do that so fast into his time at Manchester United. I spoke with a few Sporting Lisbon fans before he joined Manchester United, and they all told me that his rotation of the squad was really good, and his ability to create this togetherness by making sure all the players got game time. So you can kind of now predict who's going to play the game against Arsenal on the weekend. On Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? I think it is Wednesday, isn't it? It's very soon. Obviously, we've got 2 games a week now. Let me just double check that. Let's have a look. Yeah, you can kind of predict it, can't you? The only kind of bad news that came out of yesterday's game, which I just want to talk about quickly, is that Martinez and Kobe Mainoo are both suspended. They picked up a yellow card yesterday. Obviously, when you pick up a certain amount of yellow cards, it then means that you miss the next game. So, yeah, we will not be seeing Martinez and Mainoo for Arsenal. But in relation to the rest of the squad, obviously, it will probably be relatively similar. You know, you'll have Mazarawi, you'll have De Ligt. I imagine it will probably be Harry Maguire, I reckon, for Arsenal. And then midfield-wise, obviously, Manuel Ugarte will come in because Mainoo's injured. I imagine it will probably be Casemiro because he didn't play that much yesterday. Sorry, he did play in the first half, didn't he? But he came off at about the 50th minute mark. And then up front, I imagine it will probably be Mount, Garnacho and Ahmad. Maybe? It's hard to predict now. This is the great thing. It's really difficult to predict the lineups because everybody's involved. Everybody's getting game time. Whereas before, you could pick Erik ten Hag's teams like weeks in advance because he'd just pick the same players every single time. But yeah, anyway, I was really happy with yesterday's game, obviously. 4-0. Really can't complain about that. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour, make sure to drop a like on the video. Let's try and get to 500 likes. And if this is your first time watching as well, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that. Right, I wanted to talk about the video title, which says Ruben Amorim's Brutal Truth, because some of the things that he said in yesterday's post-match press conference made me like him even more. And what he effectively said was that he wants the Manchester United fans to look at the performances and not at the results. And you're probably thinking, I don't really understand. What does he mean? We won 4-0. But the point that he was making was that he actually thinks we played better against Bodo Glimt and that we should have scored more goals against Bodo Glimt. And I agree with that. I think we should have won 5-2, 6-2 against Bodo Glimt, right? And he was almost saying that yesterday, yes, we won 4-0, but the performance wasn't amazing. And he thinks there's a lot of room for improvement. And he thought that Everton, you know, maybe should have got a goal or two. And that's what I really, really like from a manager is honesty. I want a manager to be transparent. I want a manager to kind of sound like a fan almost. Because I'm sure the fans were saying the same thing, weren't they? They probably said, yes, we won 4-0. But in that first 10, 15 minutes, Everton could have got a couple of goals. Whereas on Thursday against Bodo Glimt, most fans would have come away from Old Trafford thinking, how the hell have we only won 3-2? You know, we had so many opportunities against Bodo Glimt to score more goals and we didn't. But I think, you know, over the course of the season, that's how, as fans, we have to look at Manchester United. We need to look at the performances and not necessarily the results. And I know that sounds a little bit strange and a little bit stupid, but we're only 3 games into his time at Manchester United, right? And if the performances keep improving, there might be the odd game where we get a bad decision against us or the other team get a lucky goal or something happens in the game which kind of affects the general outcome of the game. But generally, the most important thing is that the performances improve. The players get better. They start to, you know, pick up little triangles, little sequences within the game. And that is the most important thing. And that's effectively what Ruben Amorim said. He said, it's far from a perfect performance. We have to do better. And that showed in the game. After 15 minutes, Everton controlled the game and it was difficult for us. I felt that the players could solve some problems with their quality, but it was far from perfect. So he wasn't happy, really. And then he also says we can't just focus on the results. We have to focus on the way that we play. There is a lot to do, but it is better to work with victories. So again, very, very very, very honest. And then he says also, it wasn't a pretty performance, but the job is done. We feel that we still have a long way to go. It showed when Everton took control of the game. Then we scored at the right time and that changed the game. I mean, don't you just love that honesty from a manager? You know? Imagine if I'd have come on my match reaction last night and said, we didn't play very well. We still have a long way to go. Like, Everton should have got more from the game. People would have been like, why are you so negative? This is our own manager. Our own manager, in his post-match press conference after winning 4-0, is effectively saying that he wasn't happy with the way we played and that's saying that we have a long way to go. And I love that, you know? He's obviously smiling and he's happy. He's not like sat there miserable, but he's just being honest. He's saying that, yes, it's great we won 4-0, but we've got so much more work to do if we want to get to, you know, to the top of the league kind of area if we want to be challenging for the titles. So I just really like that. I just like managers who are honest. I like managers who you can kind of relate to, if that makes sense, and you feel... I don't know, it's weird. I think we haven't had a manager like this for a very long time, in my opinion. Erik ten Hag was the polar opposite of it. We'd play terribly and he would be like, yes, the project is going forward, blah, blah, blah. And it was just frustrating because even if we played awfully, he would still just say the same things, Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think he was kind of similar. He was always just smiling. He was always happy. He was always saying, oh, the boys did well, even if we played awfully. Whereas Ruben Amorim's just won 4-0 and he's just said that he didn't think we played very well. And he says that we have a long way to go. And he says that Everton, should have got a couple of goals in the first 10, 15 minutes. And that's what we want. We want the players to constantly be driving for better. We don't want them to get complacent because I think under previous managers, we'd get a couple of good results. The manager would come out in the press conference and say, oh, we're doing amazingly. And then next thing you know, the players get a little bit complacent. They seem to let their guard down a bit. And next thing you know, we're losing loads of games. We have a super chat coming in from Ant. Thank you very much for your support, mate. Ant has said, the most apparent thing for me was just how much better Ahmad is than many of our players. He epitomises what it means to be a United player. Yeah, thank you for the super chat, mate. I really appreciate that. And you know what? I completely 150% agree with you. For me, Amad Diallo is probably our best attacking player. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy because people will say, oh, well, Højlund's got this amount of goals or Garnacho's got this amount of goals. But overall, Amad Diallo as a player is phenomenal. And the one thing that I love the most about Amad Diallo, okay, there's lots of things I love about him, but one of the main things is he's not very selfish, like yesterday, he had a chance to shoot. Instead, he squares the ball across the box, passes it to Xerxes and we score. And I love that. And I think that's where, I'm not trying to be mean to Garnacho, but I think that's where Garnacho needs to improve. I think Garnacho still has that selfishness. He still has that, I'm the star, I want to be, I want to write the headlines. And a lot of the time with Garnacho, there'll be chances, like Ahmad had yesterday, where he could shoot, he shoots and we miss, Whereas yesterday, you can see Ahmad's just trying to bring other people in and he understands that the game isn't just about goals. It's about assists. It's about build-up play. It's about winning effectively, and that's the most important thing. But yeah, thank you for your super chat, mate. Let's talk about Ahmad really quickly then, shall we? Because there is a story coming out this morning from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic saying that apparently Manchester United are now negotiating a new contract with Amad Diallo, which is such good news. I know there's a couple of people in the fan base who've been quite worried about this because for anybody who's unaware, Amad Diallo's current Manchester United deal ends in the summer, but there is the option to extend it by one further year. So we do have a little bit of security, but not that much. We need to tie him down to a long-term deal. I'm not saying give him stupid wages. I don't think that's necessary. He still is a young player, and he clearly loves Manchester United. He's said in recent press conferences that he absolutely loves Manchester United. But he's currently earning around £30,000 per week, Amad Diallo, and apparently Manchester United have offered him £90,000 a week. So it's about 3 times what he's on now. But when you compare that to the rest of the squad, I know that's a massive pay rise, but £30,000 a week is not very much for a footballer, let's be honest. He's kind of one of the lowest earners in the squad at the moment. He is currently the 3rd lowest earner in the squad. The only people below him, wages-wise, are Dan Gore and Toby Collier, who, let's be honest, aren't even really first-team players. They're youth players who've kind of broken into the first team and they don't really ever play. So his wage does need to reflect his ability, and he definitely is a £90,000 a week player. If you look at the other people who are kind of earning around that figure, Xerxes on 105, Dallo's on around 100, Højlund's on around 100. So he needs to be in and around that same kind of figure, around 100,000 a week. That seems like the fair number. If I was Manchester United, I would put lots of incentives in that contract. So it might be that his base contract is 90,000 a week, but if he gets an assist, he gets X amount. If he gets a goal, he gets X amount. Something like that. That's a good way to incentivize players. And I know that maybe seems a little bit strange, but that is how a lot of the other clubs do it. They keep the base salary as low, but then if the players perform, if Man United win games, they get a bit of a bonus, which makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? But yeah, Amad Diallo, really, really happy with him. Ant says, Kieran, isn't at 30,000 a week what Gaio Perez is on at Sporting? Yeah, it is, yeah. I mean, that just shows how much Manchester United overpay in certain areas, you know? But that's just how it is. It's the Premier League. There's so much money. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Somebody in the chat is saying that Amad is the African Messi. Okay. I mean, that's very, very strong, positive feedback. Yeah. David says Amad developed really well during his loan period at Sunderland. Yeah, he did. He did really well there. But yeah, I mean, it's just good news that he wants to sign a new contract. That's what the news we hope. He's still very young. He's only 22. He's got pretty much his whole career ahead of him, really, if you think about it. He's still a young player, I would call him. And, you know, to think that he's been at the club for such a long time and he's only now really starting to get his opportunity, it's great to see. It really is. And I know, again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but, you know, we do have quite a few good young players now. Obviously, we've got Mainu, we've got Amad, Garnacho, Lenny Yoro, Hoyland. There's probably some others I've missed. You know, there is quite a decent spine of young players who are kind of breaking through. I mean, Xerxes young as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that. I think moving on to the summer, it's now just going to be about moving on the slightly older players. You know, the people like Christian Eriksen, obviously his contract expires. There's a story coming out this morning saying that apparently Manchester United will definitely not be offering Christian Eriksen a new deal, so he'll leave. Harry Maguire's contract expires in the summer. Johnny Evans' contract expires. I think Tom Heaton's does. And there's somebody else as well. Who's the other one? There's one more player who's old. Who is it? Let's have a little look. I know it's definitely Evans, Maguire, Eriksen, Tom Heaton. Let's have a look. 2025. Lindelof, that was it. So yeah, in the summer, Harry Maguire, Lindelof, Eriksen, Johnny Evans and Tom Heaton, all 5 of those players' contracts will be expiring. And when you look at the ages of those players, 31, 30, 32, 36 and 38, it's all time for them to move on. You know, they're all in their 30s now. They're all coming towards the twilight of their career. And if Manchester United were to be really, really clever, what I would do if I was the CEO of Manchester United, I would probably try and move on like Lindelof and Eriksen in January, try and get a little bit of money for them, a couple of million maybe. Just to say as well, there is the potential for Harry Maguire to sign a 1-year contract. Just to give you the full report, he has the option for 1 extra year in his contract. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, the fact that we play 3 centre-backs kind of makes me think that you should just give Maguire the 1 extra year. Just to be clear, the other players I mentioned don't have this option. Lindelof, Eriksen, Johnny Evans and Tom Heaton. They don't have the option for an extra year. But Harry Maguire in his contract has an option for 1 extra year. So I probably would give him an extra year. I'm not saying he's world class. I'm just saying, you know, we play 3 centre-backs. If Lindelof leaves, Johnny Evans leaves, that means our only centre-backs will be Maguire. I guess actually, I don't know though, because obviously Luke Shaw plays at centre-back now and Mazraoui plays at centre-back now. So maybe you don't need him anymore. Because our centre-backs now are Mazraoui, Luke Shaw, De Ligt, Martinez and Lenny Yoro. That's already 5 centre-backs, right? We're going to sign another centre-back, say Branthwaite, just for argument's sake. It might be someone else, but let's just say Branthwaite. That would leave us with 6 centre-backs. So we don't really actually need Maguire, do we? And he is on big wages. He's on about £200,000 a week. So it'd be interesting to see how that one goes, but I'd be interested to get your thoughts as well on that. So would you give Harry Maguire the extra 1 year in his contract, or would you let him go in the summer? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. That's a really, really hard one to kind of get your head around. I know before Ruben Amorim joined, I said that we should keep him, Harry Maguire, for 1 year. But now that I've seen how Ruben Amorim sets the team up, i.e. Luke Shaw's a centre-back and Mazraoui's playing as a centre-back, I don't think we need him, you know? And I think if anything, you would let Maguire go, have Luke Shaw as a centre-back, Mazraoui as a centre-back, and then just invest the money in probably a left wing-back. Because at the moment, that position is a little bit... It's not all over the place. I know Diallo's playing there and he's doing well, but I think Diallo, we need a little bit more, options in that position. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what you guys think about that one. Let's see what else we've got in the video today. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Jim Ratcliffe. So before yesterday's game against Everton, there was a massive protest against Jim Ratcliffe. And some of the chants that were coming out were saying that Manchester United fans were chanting that Jim Ratcliffe is as bad as the Glazers. Now, this is all in relation to Jim Ratcliffe putting up the price of the Manchester United tickets. The cheapest Manchester United ticket is now £66, which is a lot of money. Before, it was about £40 for the cheapest ticket. So he's put the money up by about £26 per ticket, which is a lot. And he's also put up the price of children's tickets, which I think has really upset a lot of people. The children's tickets used to be about £20, and he's put them up to £66 as well, which again has caused mass outrage in the fan base. And as I said, there was a protest outside Old Trafford yesterday from a large portion of the fan base, and they were seen chanting that Jim Ratcliffe is as bad as the Glazers. How does everybody feel about that? And I know we've just come off the back of a win. I know we just won 4-0. This isn't being negative. It's, creating conversation. How do you feel about that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I mean, I'll say this, right? Some of the things that Jim Ratcliffe has done since he's been here, if it was the Glazers, I think there would be mass protests, i.e. sacking all of the staff. He got rid of all of the office workers. He's got rid of loads of people. He's made some really tough decisions. I think in the long run, those decisions will probably turn out to be the right ones, but it is horrible that all these, normal working class people have lost their jobs just to save a little bit of money. And the ticket prices are going up, and that means that working class people are going to be out of pocket. And all of these little things, which to me make me feel like Jim Ratcliffe is a little bit out of touch, to be honest. But at the end of the day, they'll say, oh, it's because of profit and sustainability. We need to bring in more money. But I saw a report that said that the ticket price increase will only give Manchester United another £1 million a season. So it's not actually that much, £1 million extra in the bank. But then it might mean that some people can't go to the games because what was kind of affordable before is now unaffordable. Imagine if you're, a family and you want to take your child to see Man United. It's £66 for your ticket, cheapest. Some of them are hundreds of pounds, but the very, very cheapest is 66. It'll also be 66 for your child. Then you've got to pay for food for the day. You've got to pay for, your buses to get from the station, whatever. It's a very expensive day out, and I think at this moment in time where we're in a cost of living crisis here in the UK, and this isn't a politics channel, but I'm just giving my opinion, I think it probably is a little bit badly timed to be putting up the price of the tickets. But I don't know. We'll wait and see what happens. Obviously, yesterday there was a big fan protest. People are unhappy. They're saying that he's as bad as the Glazers. I'd be interested to get your guys' thoughts on that. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It feels like a good time to end today's show. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be back tomorrow morning as normal. Don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. This has been Daily Red Devil. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you all on the next one. Bye for now.